Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I am Renee Allen, the host and creator of this podcast, and I am happy that you're here today. I had a request and I'm trying to remember what it was. I already forgot. Of course, I didn't write it down. Oh dear. We'll see if it comes back. It actually did come back and I guess there's no way to look it up. You know how sometimes you try to remember something and you look it up on the computer or on your phone, and that's a great way to remember like an actor's name or the name of a song or something. But something like this was just my own idea. So there was no way to look it up anyway. I'm just kind of laughing at the fact that I'm marveling that I didn't have to look it up because there was no way to look it up. But my request came back to me as soon as I paused that. And that is if you have any interest in me making this podcast also a video podcast. I know some people like making video podcasts. I'm not opposed to it, but it would make it a little more complex. It would take a little more effort to get that figured out. I know how to do Zoom, live stream, yoga classes, recordings, and things like that. But recording the podcast with video on would take a different setup, maybe some new equipment. I don't know. I have the software for it, but I just haven't thought it through to that point. And I didn't even know if there was an interest in it. So that's why I wanted to ask you about that, because when I listen to podcasts, the whole point is to be able to get things done or to listen in my car, have something to listen to when I'm driving, or have something to listen to so I can get some things done at home. You know, kind of the things that you walk around and do, not the things that you sit and have to think about quite as much. And so if I watched a podcast on YouTube, I don't know that I would watch the video anyway, but I have listened to podcasts that way because it's the only way it's offered. And, I just don't look at it. I just put it in my pocket. So, but if you're not going to look at it, then I wouldn't go to the effort of actually making it on video. I do have my podcast on YouTube, but just with the podcast art, the show art, because that's a way to do it. And we are told that some people prefer to listen on YouTube and they just have it in the background on their TV and walk around or do what they're doing in the room instead of having it on a device with the earbud or headphones or something like that, or in their car. So anyway, if you have a desire for that, to have a video podcast, I could do it. I could figure it out. I've been doing the Zoom yoga since whatever COVID year, 2020. I just haven't set aside a chunk of time to do it. And I haven't figured out if it would be of value to anyone. So let me know. You could just go to my website, fill out the contact form, or go to Instagram, Inspiring Women. I think it says with ADHD or a ADHD. I should know. It's different on different places just because I think some of them don't let it be as long. I can look that up actually really quickly. Kind of funny that I don't know my own thing. I think I'm just going to look at what I'm following from my private one. That's easier than switching. Oh yeah, it's just Inspiring Women with ADHD. No symbols at all. And there's my name. And a very few list of posts. So for some reason, Messenger, Instagram, Facebook stuff's not working on my computer today, just in the last 20 minutes. I don't know if I wore it out because I was on there sharing stuff with my family, but on Messenger. But I wanted to talk about momentum today. And the funny thing is, I had so much momentum this morning. I thought, oh, I love this. I can talk about building momentum, maintaining momentum. And the problem was I had so much momentum to get things done downstairs. I'm upstairs when I record, that I didn't want to stop to do this because then what if I don't have that momentum back? But I killed my momentum without even coming up here. I thought, before I go up to record the podcast, just order these 2 things from Amazon. Well, I sat down. I wrote one of them down so I wouldn't forget the second one because it just popped in my mind. I sat down and I didn't remember the first one. And so I ordered the second one, and then I had to kind of walk around a little bit. And then I got a text from my daughter with a video of her singing with 2 other women, 2 other young moms, a couple Christmases ago. So I watched that. And then that took me down a very wonderful but time-consuming rabbit hole of going through my YouTube videos that I've uploaded, downloaded of my kids singing over the years at Christmas time and stuff, because my kids like to sing or play guitars or play the piano. And so then I started sharing all of those on Messenger, but not all of them were on YouTube already. They were all, unlisted where they could just see them with the link. But so then I went to multiple YouTube accounts, and then I went to my Apple Photos and downloaded some of those. It was really fun to watch. It was warm and wonderful. And I was even aware. I even had an awareness of you have stopped your momentum. It wasn't like I forgot about it, but I was having such a good time. It was needed emotionally. So I gave myself permission to do that, knowing that I was risking if I could get my momentum back. Have you ever noticed when you're sidetracked? Sometimes you don't notice that you're sidetracked and you just go off in a different direction, work on something else for a really long time, or lay down or whatever. And then you go back and see the evidence of what you're working on before and think, oh yeah, without the awareness. This time I fully had the awareness, but I stayed with it for a long time. And then I finally remembered the second thing to order, which I don't even remember now, but I did that. And anyway, yeah, it took me away. And then I came up here and here I am. But the struggle is real. The struggle is real because sometimes you think you can do something like, I'm just going to order this. And I'm not savvy with the whole Alexa, Siri of it all, of telling yourself to order something and then it just goes and does it by your voice. I've seen people do it in their house, and we have an Echo Dot in a couple of places, but I haven't taken the time to see how that works. And I don't know. I kind of don't want to. I mean, I feel like if I did want to, I've had the opportunity for a long time, but that might save me from doing this. So anytime that you see there is something that's getting in the way of your productivity and you want to be productive that day, then maybe take the time to learn a new system or find a way to prevent those distractions, save them for later, and maybe be able to stay on the course a little better. So why does momentum even matter? Why do we even need momentum? Maybe we don't. Maybe it's fine just to push through something, but that is more of a struggle. And if you can build momentum and coast, do you remember learning to ride a bike when you pedal, and then you just coast? You just take your feet are still on the pedals, but you just sit there and you just ride. You just ride. And sometimes if you're younger, you might take your feet out wide and doing fun things and singing with your friends or whatever, just to kind of celebrate. This isn't very hard. This is fun. This is all fun. That's what it can be like when we're getting things done, whether it's a project on your computer or it's something that's more physical. You're walking around, you're focusing, or it's taking some brain power, but you're in the groove of it. You have a system. Let's say you're organizing a room or something. You already have a trash can or a trash bag there, whether you keep one in the room at all times or just bring a big one in, or something to donate, or you've got your cleaning supplies or whatever it is that you're doing. You are set and you're ready and you can do it, hopefully without leaving that room very much, because that keeps you going. But it makes it just so much easier. You feel like you're coasting, and gaining that momentum can take some work. Sometimes it might feel like you just wake up with some energy. I don't know if you do. I wake up with energy, but not always to do the things that need to be done. Or there's so many things that need to be done. I still haven't made the decision of what I'm going to do first. I just know this needs to be done. Yeah, that needs to be done. But I'm at the point in my life where I'm a little bit older. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So sometimes I just choose the things that I'd like to do more, that don't take as much effort, or that just stare at me in the face more. But we need to build momentum somehow to be able to even have it and sustain it, and at times redirect back to it if it gets sidetracked a little bit. And when you have ADHD, executive dysfunction, those little parts of the brain that have to work to be able to do things in a certain order or make decisions or stay on task and ignore the distractions, that can get in the way, and it can make it so you're just too overwhelmed, you're too uninterested to even begin. And there's just some cognitive functions that aren't functioning as well. And so with your normal state, unless there's some shiny object that's making you think, yeah, I want to do that, that sounds fun, you may not be able to get yourself to do it. Medication can be really helpful with this because it can raise the dopamine, and what's the other thing, the norepinephrine or something like that. It's one of those words that has so many syllables and there's a lot of vowels that I don't always remember it without reading it. But anyway, those chemicals, if they can raise up a little bit, then that can help you get going. But medication isn't always a sure thing. It can be helpful for a lot of people, but certain days are certain days. There might be some other kind of stimulant supplements or foods or teas or things like that. A great stimulant is another person. If somebody's there with you saying, okay, let's do this. And they're basically taking over your brain and saying, let's do this. And your own brain doesn't have to say that. And they've made the effort to come to your house, so you're going to do it. And whether it's a friend, a person in your home already, or somebody who does this professionally. I have a friend who was a new life coach for helping people organize. And she was volunteering at the beginning to come over and help you with a project, and which, you usually think big, like what are the big things I can't get done? But we just worked, I think, on 2 junk drawers well, they weren't, I wouldn't technically call them junk drawers. My mom she has like 1 junk drawer. It was just my drawers that I use like for pens or keys or things like that became very, very junky. And I thought I was good at organizing, but she had a really great method and she was kind of brutal with it. But it made me, I had to do it. I took out all the pens, all the colored pencils, everything. If it didn't work, we threw it away. We just tested everything, like test the pen, throw, test the pen, keep, test it. It was fast. It was fun. We did it together. She built my momentum and I had to stay up with her. I was more like I was pedaling on the bike and had to keep up with her. I don't know that I coasted very much. It wasn't like I was listening to a podcast or listening to music and doing it, but it was fun to have her there. So she helped me initiate the task. She helped me keep going. She helped me continue when I might have thought of something else to do. So that can be helpful to have somebody there with you, whether it is actually somebody who is in more the leadership role or a body double. I know it's kind of a weird name, but that's what they use. And, when they talk about ADHD is, somebody it's kind of accountability, but it's really just, we're both working on this at the same time. And it feels good to have a partner, and I'll keep going because you keep going. They're not really telling you what to do. They might even be working on something different, but you stick with it because somehow it's just helpful for you to have them there, even if they're not in the room with you. It could be through Zoom or on a phone call, just on audio or something. I've had many active phone calls, like we're each other's podcast, where I talk to a friend and we both get so much done. We haven't really told each other we need to, but we both don't enjoy sitting while talking unless we're sick or something or driving. So that's kind of another way, is just having somebody to take your brain off of what you're doing, that distraction kind of thing, the good kind of distraction that makes you not think of your own thoughts that might take you away from accomplishing something. Another thing that you could do just to get yourself in the groove is just to not make yourself think it needs to be done for very long. Just give yourself a short amount of time to work on it. It might just be setting a timer. I usually do like 20 or 30 minutes if I set a timer. I have set a timer for an hour before just to kind of see what can you get done in an hour. But that's not as helpful, at least for me. It might be for you. And anything that I suggest, I am well aware that we are all so different. And you might be thinking, I have tried that before and that was not very doable or that didn't help. But you might try it again and it might work. Or you just try it, tweaking it a slightly different way. But we used to play a game in our family. I don't think I've mentioned it on here before. And I didn't know any of us had ADHD at the time. A lot of us do, and kids and me in our family. But I used to try to get the kids to help clean in the house. And we had a lot of different methods for doing it. The one that stuck the most was just every evening before they went to bed, they'd all come up, we'd all talk a little bit, say a prayer together, and then they each had something to do that probably would take them 10 or 15 minutes. And they usually stayed with the same area for quite a while, like several months, and then we'd switch. I don't know if we had a rhyme or reason for it, if somebody just wanted to switch, but one person would go and clean the kitchen, and one person would vacuum the upstairs, somebody else would clean the downstairs bathroom. They just each go to their place. We didn't have a fancy name for it, anything, and do their task, their chore, their area. We didn't really call them chores, just clean your area. And it helped. I had 6 kids. I don't know that all of them were super good at it because I had a big range from 2002 to 1990. That's easier than figuring out what age they were. But even the little ones, you give them a rag or something and a spray bottle. That's better than not getting anything done. And to me, if they just spent 10 minutes, that's 1 hour that I didn't have to do. And I always woke up to a clean house. It was so nice because I could wake up and exercise and I didn't think, oh, I should probably put these dishes in the dishwasher. It was already done. And so that was something that was super helpful. But back to the setting the timer, making a game of it with my kids worked really well. And it makes me think that there's got to be a way to do that with ourselves. And maybe that is just in the next 10 minutes, just, set your buzzer and see if you can work on this and see how far you can get. But the way that we did it is we drew names. So we put everyone's name in a bowl, kind of like we're drawing names for Christmas for Secret Santa or something. And I set a timer for 10 minutes. Everyone drew a name. And each person, kind of like a secret surprise for somebody, they would go to that person's room. And if it was me and my husband, it could be our bedroom. It could be anywhere in the house, really. They would go and clean for 10 minutes, and then they would come back. And sometimes they were putting things away. It could be like, not just cleaning. It could be putting toys away or putting some books up on a shelf or something like that. But the fun, the thing that made it so exciting was, you felt like this is going to make them really happy to see what I did. And they got to show everyone afterwards, so they came back. And then you'd say, who did you get? I did this. And we'd see what they did. And then we'd do it again. And we'd do it again. We keep drawing names so that you got to keep doing something for somebody else. And they liked it so much that we probably did it 5 or 6 times where we did it for a full hour. And that was a lot of cleaning and organizing that got done. It was super fun. We didn't do it all the time, but we probably did it once a month or something. And they didn't think of it as like, oh, mom is sneaking and making us do work. They liked it too. Because they got to do something nice for their brother or sister or their mom or dad. But something that will give you energy, like if you're thinking of it's going to make somebody happy, although obviously we can't control if it makes somebody happy or not, if it doesn't have that outcome. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I stopped liking cooking, actually. I used to love cooking because my mom and my brothers all just thought it was so great, anything I'd cook. And in my family, it wasn't the same way. I had more picky eaters, and my husband didn't like food that much. But as long as I had people who were so excited for the meal, like even Thanksgiving dinner, it just makes it so much easier for me to cook. It's so much more rewarding. And so I'm not sure what you could do to make it rewarding for you to get something done. Obviously, accomplishing the task is what the goal is, and maybe you're making something and you get to see it be made, or you get to eat it, or you get to give that gift to somebody, or you get to clean up an area. It is going to have a rewarding effect, but sometimes the reward's so far off that it makes it not as exciting to start. It can be overwhelming. So adding a tiny element, adding a tiny element, even if you had a notebook or a board or something that just had the steps of what you needed to get done, and you broke them into those tiny steps and then just got to check them off each time or put a little star by it or something, in the days that teachers would put a star on your paper or a happy face. Each time that you get to do that, you're seeing your progress. Or you could play a song before you start and see if you can build up some momentum by singing and dancing. I don't know, maybe you can't do that when you're in public or you're trying to get something done if you're at your workplace. But something that kind of energizes your body. And honestly, when I come on here to make my podcast, I'm pretty energetic on my own, but not all the time. Obviously, I can't be that way all the time. And when I just put on the music at the beginning, I love that song so much because my son wrote it, my daughter and son recorded it together, that every time I listen to it, it makes me kind of dance and sing along. And I did that with radio shows and podcasts before I did this. When I'd like someone's song, I'd sing along with it. It's just what I do. But that gives me the energy like, okay, now I'm in the groove. I'm in the groove. And it prepares my brain for you're doing something fun. And I do it. And so if you have some way that you could add music or stop to dance to a song and then keep going, the key is to find something that you can do that brings that energy, that brings that momentum, but it's not going to take you down another alley. Even, I've already talked about listening to a podcast or an audiobook or watching a TV show while you do things. If you partner something that takes your brain, I feel like it makes my brain more relaxed, but it's actually a stimulant, but it's an outer stimulant that helps you do something that you need to get done. I used to always watch TV when I'd fold laundry. Even as a kid, I always watched shows, and I love those sitcoms, The Flying Nun or Brady Bunch. I'd sit and fold clothes for a long time. I had 4 brothers. We had a lot of laundry, and I loved doing that because I think I could just do it and go, 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 go. And I still do the same thing. I don't want to fold clothes if I don't have something to watch. It's wired into my brain. But anything that you can do, and if you just find the momentum happening, like I did this morning, just celebrate it and just keep going, just keep going. But if you feel like you need to take a break and hopefully get back to it, because the getting back to it is harder when you're coming cold. It's like when you're doing a workout and you stop to get a drink or something. If you let the muscles get too cold, the heart rate come down too much for too long, it might be harder to get back to have that energy where you were, or to even keep doing your workout. I've done that too many times. So I have to silence my distractions and really minimize them so that I can keep going, keep going, keep going when I work out. And I don't know if you say things to yourself out loud or in your own mind consciously like I do. I mean, of course we do it. We have a lot of self-talk without consciously doing it. It just happens. But if you find that you're doing a great job, tell yourself, this is great. I'm so happy. I'm doing such a great job. And be your own person who recognizes that, your own supervisor, boss, or whoever, or somebody in the world that you would love to tell you, you're doing so great, or you're so amazing. Tell yourself, even just saying you're amazing can help, or just smile. Sometimes I have to just smile and bring up that energy, or bring the arms up high, that victory. Have you heard about that? That bringing your arms up, I think of it more like a Y, because it's like YMCA, and my, rest of my body's the Y, but they call it the V for victory. It's what we do when we cheer at a game or at a concert, or our kids just did something great. Yay. I mean, maybe we don't put our arms up high at a holiday recital or something. We might just clap, but it is what we do to celebrate. So you can do that and celebrate yourself. Some good information to have about initiating tasks, getting yourself to do stuff, and understanding how that is related to your ADHD or how your brain, your version of ADHD, because it is true. So many people have different versions of which aspect affects them more. A lot of us have a lot of them, but I still read about people. I go on to Reddit, there's an ADHD women's group on there. And there are some things that people deal with that I don't. And there are a lot of things that I deal with that they don't. But the ADHD brain needs stimulation. It's understimulated. So the things that you can do to create that stimulation, it might have to happen from the outside. It can happen with your own excitement, but a lot of times it needs to come from the outside. And if you don't have a great interest in what you need to get done, or it has a lot of tasks, or it's new, that is just more of an uphill climb. And so understanding that, and that's why it's helpful maybe to have somebody doing it with you, or the medication, or the different things that might help with that. Knowing that means that you have to look for another source. And even if it's just, I've got 5 minutes and people are going to be here, I need to clean up this front room. That is usually some motivation. But I found that doesn't motivate me as I don't know, as what do you say, is earlier, farther in advance as it used to. Like, it used to be that, like, if I had people coming the next day, I'd get a lot done the day before. Or if I was going on a trip, I might start packing and doing the laundry a few days before. Now I save a lot of it for for last minute, and sure do run around and get a lot done really quickly. But sometimes that I got to get this done now because, well, and that's why I was so. I think I had this momentum today is I've been sick, and I mentioned it the last few weeks, like, oh, my throat or my asthma or whatever. But it got worse this weekend, and I went into the doctor. I think I got it. Well, I did get a secondary infection, so I'm taking all kinds of things. But yesterday I was in bed a lot, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much to be done at Christmas time. And I'm going on a trip on Friday. I'm going to be gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't get back till midnight. On Monday, I'm going to California to see some relatives, and it'll be hard to come back. I mean, it won't be hard to be back because I love my home here, but I love California. That's where I lived my whole life. But anyway, I have been wishing I could get some things done before I go. The laundry getting packed, but not only that, but just a few more steps in the direction of being organized with Christmas. Because when I get back, it'll just be 1 week and 1 day till Christmas, and there's a lot to be done. So when I woke up feeling a lot better today, I thought, oh my goodness, I can do this and I could do this. And it was kind of like I was just in, a kid in a candy shop, like, which one do I want to do first? But it wasn't like, oh, what do I want to do first? That's just so overwhelming. It all looked fun because I finally felt good. So there are some things that just bring our brains up on their own. That is our own bodies doing it. And that's good too. But so is like singing and dancing. That's you creating something in your own body with your own self, which is great too, or the positive self-talk and that sort of thing. But some other reasons, just real quickly here at the end, why ADHD can disrupt this is our time perception isn't always great. It's kind of surprising sometimes when you look at the timer or the timer beeps and you think, really, that was 20 minutes? It felt like 5. Or really, I've gotten so much done. It's only 5 minutes and I've got 15 more. That I've had it happen both ways. I didn't think I had time blindness, but I've been seeing some evidence of it lately. And yeah, so it can make the ability of getting something done seem less doable than maybe it actually really is. We don't really understand the time frame as well as we think we do, or our ability to do it with that amount of time. But also, when our working memory, so that's the thing that helps us remember what we're doing or take information. It could be your own thought of, okay, now go in this room and get a trash bag. If you go in that room and forget the trash bag and start doing something else, or someone talks to you or whatever, staying on task is so much harder. And that is a lot of us. Raise your hand. That is me so much. But, I'm working with it. So, yeah, having something with you that can help you remember. Let's say you're in a room cleaning and you see the light bulb's out and you go in another room to get a light bulb to replace it. What might be helpful is to reach up and take out the old light bulb first, carry it in the other room with you, and you've got that visual reminder. You may not remember when you get in there. You may even drop it and break it. Maybe you don't, but I do things like that. But it will help you remember. So anything that you can do to help that working memory, because it's not working well on its own, it needs some outer help, and that might be something visual, then that can help you with that momentum and keep going and keep going and keep going. Another thing that can happen with ADHD brain is we might have some emotional dysregulation. So you could get frustrated more easily, anxiety from not accomplishing what you want to be doing, discouragement. Discouragement might be not be an emotion, but it's a feeling and it can lead to emotions, and or just bored by the whole thing. So any of those things, if that gets you like, why can't I do this? It's really going to cause avoidance, almost shutting down to where like, I just got to do something else. I just got to do something else just to get away from that feeling. And maybe you don't deal with this, but a lot of people do. And when ADHD heightens that emotional response, it may make it feel like that's just too much. So really paying attention if you can, because some people with ADHD have a harder time noticing this, but notice what you're doing. Stop for a second, take a slow breath, notice what's going on, do what you can to tell yourself it's okay. Do what you can to give yourself some energy. Sometimes I just stand up and say, come on, you can do this. Come on, you can do this. Or get a drink of water. Maybe I'm dehydrated, blame it on something else. And just make it low key. Like there's not a lot of pressure here. Just come on, see what you can get done. And sometimes just saying things out loud really does help me change what's going on in the brain, which can change what's going on with those emotions. I'm sure it can feel like, because it's true, it's our reality, that at times if you deal with overwhelm, if you deal with gaining the momentum that you need, it can feel like you're walking up a steep slope when other people are just get to walk on a flat ground. And that can be hard. That can be our challenge. And maybe some days it's not as much. But when it is, just know that this is what you're dealt with in your body and that you have some low neurotransmitters that are needed. You got some problems in the brain that are needed to help you get to where you want to be. And once you realize that, you find something to stimulate that. Find something to stimulate it. And it might take multiple things, and it will help you get past that so that you can be in that groove. You're pedaling the bike, you get to coast a little bit, or it's not as hard to pedal. You're not going uphill anymore. And it's really rewarding for me. Just knowing that I'm doing that is like, oh my goodness, this is so fun. This is what it used to feel like when I was a little younger. Because for sure, as I get older, this is increased quite a bit, but it is doable to do what you once did, or at least do it in a way that is still nice. I when I teach a yoga class, I tell people, you may never feel in your body like you did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, last year, especially if you've had an injury or who knows what's going on in your body. And you might, you don't know, but it's all just kind of an exploration. There's no expectation that it has to be a certain way, but you're at least going to take some steps toward it and see what's going on and see if you can do things that benefit your body in the case of yoga, and benefit your mind, your emotional system, your mental health, your wellness, just your peace of mind, being able to help your body relax a little bit. But in life, we want to be able to get things done. It's not what our worth is at all, but life is, it requires a lot of work, and maintaining your home, maintaining your life. If you're a parent, a grandparent, a wife, maintaining relationships. There's a lot of standards that we have of things that we want to do. There are a lot of things that we enjoy doing, and they take work. So we need to be able to find a way to get ourselves from point A to point B. Sometimes it's like just jumping in a pool. You get in the pool and then you can start swimming. But getting in that water when it looks cold or you're not sure if you want to get your hair wet, there's all those things in the brain that disrupt. But once you get going, sometimes it works just fine. It works just fine. So that's what I hope for you, and that you're able to create, accomplish, do the things that you love to do, want to do. And if you have far more of those things in your mental list than you can accomplish today or even this week, know that we're in this together, not just me and you, but thousands, I don't know how many thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know if there's millions of us women dealing with this, but it is something that we can work with, and we can celebrate when we do find that momentum. It is fun. It is really fun. And even if whatever you create doesn't stay that way forever, I had a party last Thursday night, and the next day it was just so pretty in my house with all the Christmas decorations. And I'd cleaned up a lot that night, and I just enjoyed it. But then I started feeling sick again a couple of days later, and it didn't last very long. But that's okay. I still gave myself permission to be fine with that, and not get back to that same momentum until I knew my body was ready. And you may need that for your mind sometimes, mental health day or something. I even did that with my kids, and that was when mental health wasn't something we knew very much about. It was definitely talked about more than when I was growing up. But there were days that my kids were all just a little emotionally strong, and I just said, I think we're all going to stay home today. Some days where you have a physical sickness, and we're calling in sick today and having a mental health day. And it was nice for all of us. It really was. But anyway, that is it, I think, for today. And again, let me know if you're interested in a video podcast. Even if it's like, no, I would only listen to audio, that would be helpful for me. But that would be fun to see a video podcast every day. You could see my hands moving a lot. You probably wouldn't see my feet, but my feet are moving like crazy. It's not, I don't know. I don't know why video podcasts are fun. I like it, I guess, when there's a guest. I don't have guests very often. Well, obviously, actually, I don't even know why I said that. I've never had a guest. I don't have guests very often. I guess my plan is to not have guests very often. But then that would mean I would need video, huh? Anyway, thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your week. I am going to record a few podcast episodes before I leave on my trip so that there's not some major lag. But for now, this is pretty current. I'm going to post it today. So I hope you're having a good week of December 11th, in the middle of your week. And I will be back. Have a great, wonderful, wonderful. I think I said that about 5 times. Do you ever do that with friends where you just don't want to say goodbye? That's how I feel, but I really do need to go. So I'll let you go. Bye. Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause.